Hi folks, you're with Tacitus today at your Pushback channel, and thank you for joining this radio live stream. In this essay, I'd like to talk about the across the Western world, and particularly the English-speaking world, the creation of the professional race hustler class. Now, their job is to undermine the social fabric of the white West, destroy confidence in ourselves, blame, shame, all that sort of stuff by telling the most horrendous lies and having this lauded as being the neo-truth, the globalist version of truth and accuracy. And facts don't get in the way of this. So now it goes beyond myth-making, but let's have a little look at some of these people. Now, looking at Britain as an example, you've got, the professional race hustler class that have been invented. They've been created by the globalists. They haven't had to compete in the marketplace of ideas. They haven't had to compete for the quality of their literature or its accuracy or its prose or its brilliance or its insightful. None of that. There's been no comment. They've been created and shoved out front by the globalist class. Now, again, David Olusoga and what's her face, Edo Lodge and those sort of ones. If you read their books, the ones that are lauded as and heralded as being masterpieces of literature, I mean, a high school kid could do just as well. They're not high quality at all, in my view. They're far from it. And there's mistakes and errors in them are just all over the place. Nor are they just sort of interpretive oversights or rounding off of numbers. They're absolute howlers of, in my view, lies and misinformation. But nonetheless, there's another one I'm looking at here, and this follows the pattern. Now, so a black woman, so two ticks on the diversity victim totem pole here. Comes from or hails from the West Indies. So I think she's the first generation born in Britain from West Indian parents who have the parents came to Britain with no discernible skills, and from the looks of it could only speak the local sort of patois type language or dialect, if you want to call it that. So why they would end up coming to Britain with no skills, barely able to speak English, no qualifications is quite beyond me. They got jobs, as far as I can tell, in some low-paid public service jobs. So, and they lived in poverty, and this sort of, she looks back and says, well, that's because of racism. Was it because they had no education, no skills, came from a third world country, and had 6 children? Was it that contributed to their poverty, or no? It was fucking fascist racist. That's what caused it. Well, if the country's so bad, why didn't you go back to? Oh no, we don't do that. All the white people have to change for us. We don't have to change for them. Gee whiz, what are you, fucking Hitler or something? So anyway, she. At the age of, I think, 26, even though she's got no qualifications, skills, achievements, nothing to suggest this was about to happen, she gets given a book deal by a prominent book publishing company. And it's, wouldn't you know, it's a book about evil racists. Oh, the perfect propaganda for the to stoke the globalist race hustling angle that they're already starting to push at the time. So this 26 years old gets this. It's quite well and strongly promoted by all the book distributors, the book publisher, and putting an unusual amount of effort into a first-time publisher, a first-time author with no publishing credentials. Now, if you get hold of the book and read it, it's almost childlike in its simplicity, and it's certainly no tour de force. And you can wonder not only how it ever got published in the first place. Again, it's junior high school level, and even then, not an advanced level of junior high school, but somehow it gets published and well promoted. Government, libraries and all that buy it, which artificially inflates its sales figures. The book then wins a prize, quite a prestigious prize, which would be impossible in a competitive fair. So that's clearly a set up thing. So what we're seeing is the machine at work here. The machine somehow lands on, well, she's female, she's black, comes from a poor black family of immigrants. Okay, we want someone like it. That suits the profile of somebody, the race hustler we want to put out front. So how can we give her credibility? Hey, let's give her a book publishing deal. Wow, why didn't I think of that? So the other, and they'll be all straight white guys, or mostly, and probably a few gay guys thrown in. But the chances are they're all going to be white people, and they've decided they're going to push her. She's going to be the poster child, the icon. And if she hasn't got the skills or abilities, who gives a shit? Her job is to race hustle, not to actually be some sort of literary fucking genius. So then she gets a series. So over the next 30 years, she's getting 2 book publishing deals a year, plus getting opportunities to write scripts for race hustling TV shows and race hustling movies and so on. So she's one of the primary race hustlers. Now, there's so many contradictions in her sort of view of the world, and she sort of relates to her own childhood and claims that she's been held back and oppressed and limited. Now you're looking at someone who was, to say the least, a very ordinary student, and she somehow manages to say that all her limitations, or all the fact she didn't get super high paying jobs and all the sort of thing at the age of when she walked out of high school, is because of white racism. Now she went to university on some sort of black person scholarship, and as an ordinary school student, you got to wonder how that happened. But again, it would have been so white people paying for her to go to university where she studies, again, some bullshit sociology degree, which teaches her how to hate white people even more. So white people are paying her literally to hate white people, with the white lecturer saying that white people are evil. I mean, you couldn't. This is dystopia on steroids here. But she claims that all the while here she's being oppressed and held back and victim of racism and so on. By what means that where is this racism she's suffering? She comes to a white country, she gets free education. There's white taxpayers are subsidizing her family that's again 6 children. And she talks about how the facilities around, like such as public libraries, were accessible and she could go to them any time, but somehow these libraries were also racist. I don't know. It's hard to sort of, on what basis does what's the definition even of racism in this sort of thing? She throws it around, but doesn't define it. And any measure objective measure you do have of the breaks she was given, at 26, she's given a book deal for a book that's absolute fucking crap, written badly, presented badly, with bullshit ideas presented, facts, errors of fact all over it, and yet she's given a book deal, a book publishing deal, and the book company promotes it heavily, as do other book distributors. The taxpayer-funded time at university, and so it looks like white people are throwing things at her to help her and give her advantage and so on. But yet still she cries racism. But we need to understand that's her job. Her job is as a race hustler. They've built and created. It's like manufacturing something in a factory. That they've created this race hustler. The reason we're putting you out front and giving you all these benefits, say all these white people, the globalist white people, is to be a race hustler. That is your job. So she invents this alternative reality where really, black people have got a seriously rich history. But did you know black people actually designed and invented and conceived the rocket that went to the moon in the late 1960s, 1969? It was black people that did that. You think white people did it? You fucking fascist Nazi Hitler. Black people did it all. Every one of them was black. Didn't you know? And I'm sure that's going to be the invention, the invented reality of the future. Now, all this propaganda, and there's lots of it, that puts black people in a flattering light throughout history. And did you know they've always been in England? Thousands of years ago, black people were here in charge and showing the white folks how to do it and what to do. Black people were with the Romans, Negroes with the Romans, and so didn't you know that? Are you denying that? You fucking fascist Nazi. So they're doing two things here. One is to make blacks feel better about themselves, that in fact that you weren't, black people in Africa weren't still living in the Stone Age in the 1800s, and they have no written recorded history. Everything is by myth and legend, and obviously getting bigger and wider in the retelling. So, but also at the same time, concurrently to shame and blame and humiliate white people, because they're all white people. The slavery. There was never any slavery anywhere in the world at any time ever until those damn fucking white supremacist, Nazi, fascist, bigot, xenophobes came along and got all those black people, these technologically and spiritually and socially advanced black people. Somehow these troglodyte whites just managed to throw them on these ships and take them over to, the Americas and as slaves, and that was it. Only white people ever did it. No one else ever did it in the entire history of the universe, and only white people did it. And white people should be reminded of that and should be blamed and shamed and humiliated. Their society, their history should be trashed as being unworthy of even pissing on. And that's the job of these race hustlers. So anyway, she's published or had gifted, because none of it's been earned. Let's be clear about that. There's no merit in this at all. She's been gifted the publishing of over 60 books, including adult, young adult, and even children's literature. Some of her stuff is a real favorite in the education system, and should be marked blatant, outrageous propaganda, but actually it's passed off as fact, even though the facts, as I say, are the errors of fact. And you can just do it picking up the book. You look through a badly written, badly presented book that just asserts, they might as well just have every page might be evil white person, victim black person, and then false narrative or false fact. Every page is just that. So anyway, this woman, she makes a bit of money. Of course, it's been gifted to her in spades. A lot of money. So what does she do? Obviously she goes into an area that's 100% black, because you've got to get away from all those evil, fascist, Nazi, bigot, racist, xenophobes that are everywhere, and ruining her life. And so she goes to an area that's 100% black. Oh, wait, she doesn't. Oh, as soon as she's got some money, what does she do? She moves into an area that's 100% white. She moves into the middle right in the middle of an area full of white devils. Hitler is everywhere. The fascist Nazi, the fucking bigots. She moves to the area. I think that's a demonstration of her courage. Her courage to actually move into the middle of all those, a nest of white devils, with clean streets, with zero crime, with neighbours who have good manners and who, my son was playing music a bit loud. Let me speak to him. We'll turn it down. Thank you for bringing it to my attention. Have a nice day, that sort of thing. So she's in an area of clean parks where there's no drug dealers, or if the drug dealers are there, at least they're driving top of the range BMWs and designer label clothes. So why does she move into this white area? Because all she does is write about the evil fascists, the white supremacists, and yet that's where she goes as soon as she can afford it. gee whiz, I wonder if there's something in that. Let me think. Oh, I don't know. It's too complicated for me to unravel. Well, there you go. So looking at how they create these people, if you look at the pattern, all these race hustlers are created in the same way. They're given fake university degrees. They're given fake, or I mean, it's real enough, but they're gifted one that they haven't earned, a non-meritorious university degree. They also end up being, editors of the student newspaper or presidents of the student union. This is the credibility building machine that the globalists use to underwrite, if you like, these race hustlers. And then the book publishing deal is very important. That yes, I'm a published author. Ooh, aren't you a heavyweight? You're a heavyweight player. You're a heavy hitter. And give them numerous ones there, and make sure that, of course, the publicity machine gets in behind them. Now, I've looked at some of the interviews this woman's done on the British BBC, and you couldn't get a tamer interview. There is not one difficult question, and no matter how absurd the assertions she makes, no matter how ridiculous and blatantly false, the interviewer never challenges any of them, never corrects them, never asks her to back it up. So she's given the softest interviews. And you look at the sort of the coverage in the classic leftist magazines and newspapers like The Guardian, that sort of thing. It's fawning. In fact, it transcends fawning. Just every word, every word is building her up. Famous and accredited and awarded author received yet another award today for sheer and utter absolute brilliance. Even though she's being oppressed by the evil white fascists, somehow she manages to get all these awards, all awarded by these evil white fascists who are oppressing her and holding her back. So, and then go on to list her alleged achievements and exposing the evil fascism. And it just goes, it's almost beyond belief that these people exist. But make no mistake, they've been created. They are an army of propagandists that are out there to spread social division, race division, to race hustle. That is their job. They're employed to do it, and they go out there and they do it nonstop. And they've been created by the globalists as part of the overall need from a globalist perspective of preparing the way ahead for the globalist project. Before they go to the next phase, they have to crush Western society. All you white English people, all your history isn't worth shit. It's nothing. You're nothing today. You were nothing then. You never have been anything. You're just all a bunch of nobodies, and nothing you have is worth worrying about or putting any value in. Every institution, every aspect of your society is bad and evil, and you should just accept us taking over because you've got nothing to credit your society or your history ever, and we the globalists are taking over, and that's it. And you shouldn't oppose all these black and brown people coming into your country, and because you've got no society, you've got no country, you've got nothing. You're not even the shit on our shoes. And that's these people, these propagandists, are part of that, wearing them down. Imagine the effect on school kids being plied non-stop with this propaganda, because it's a crescendo proportions in the education system. Now, some of them will come away thinking, this doesn't sound right to me, but the majority will sucker for this bullshit. And all this hatred of white people and white history and white society, it's being paid for with white taxpayer dollars. I mean, for goodness sakes, this is a dystopia I don't think anyone could have ever imagined 50 years ago. You've been with Tacitus today, your Pushback channel, and thank you for listening.